But the road to reform may still be a long one. Last week, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee announced that he wants the House of Representatives to make their own effort at immigration reform through a step-by-step process with separate bills for each immigration issue, rather than taking up the Senate's more comprehensive reform bill. Joining me now to help us figure all of this out is Angela Kelly. That's no easy task. She's the Vice President for Immigration Policy at the Center for American Progress. Angela Kelly, welcome to the Heat. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So outline for us, what is it
Sure.
that President Obama would like to see in a reform bill?
Yeah.
What do we see in the Gang of Eights bill?
Yeah, it's actually very similar. The Gang of Eights bill, I think, meets a lot of the president's requirements, which have to do with dealing with the 11 million who are here without papers, making sure that they have to pass some rigorous requirements, but ultimately that they're on a path to citizenship. The president wants to see what we call the future flow program, which means that in the future that we ensure that people are coming with visas, not with smugglers, and that we've got the right number of folks coming in to fill needed jobs.
You know, the 36th President of the United States, Lyndon Johnson, used to say when he would talk to lawmakers, do you want an issue or do you want a bill? And there's a huge difference. A bill, there has to be compromise.
Yeah.
An issue, you can beat up the other side.
Yeah.
This has always been an issue.
Yeah.
Does it look like it's going to be a bill?
It's evolved. It's kind of grown up into being a baby bill that was delivered, 2 weeks ago and is going to be nurtured in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Look, there were 8 senators came together over a series of months, and they really duked it out. They hashed out some very tough issues. They came up with a big bill. It's ambitious, but I think it's smart. It's creative. It's forward-thinking, and 4 of the 8 are on the Judiciary Committee. So they're going to anchor the bill among the Democrats and the Republicans, and I think they're going to move that bill through committee as it gets debated and amended in the month of May.
Well, the chairman of that committee, Patrick Leahy, says he's going to take amendments right up until Tuesday.
Yeah.
What are we going to see in terms of amendments? What's going to go by the wayside? What's actually going to be there in the finished product, in your estimation?
Yeah, well, you're going to see a lot of amendments filed, because this is really like the chance to just put out there anything that you might want to talk about. So I think there's going to be an effort by some to try to toughen up the border security triggers, just to be absolutely sure that those triggers are in place and that we've got maximum border security happening before any of the 11 million are processed for green cards. I think that's going to be an effort that a lot of Republicans are going to make. I think the Democrats are going to look at some of the provisions having to do with the family categories that have been eliminated or have been cut back, and they may try to get those restored. But my prediction is that at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of talk, but I'm not sure how much change there will be to the bill. I think you've got a good product there that will probably come out looking out pretty similar to how it looks going in.
When people talk about immigration reform, though, in this country, they think about people spilling over the border from Mexico, and it's much more, it's a broader issue than that.
Yeah.
And we've seen folks from the Silicon Valley, including the head of Facebook here, really trying to do something about these skilled workers coming from India and China.
Sure. Yeah.
What element of that is going to be in this bill, and how big a part of that is this?
It is a substantial part of the bill. There is a very healthy and hefty increase in those high-skilled visas. Worker programs are created in the bill so that we have people coming in as our unemployment drops. We make sure we have more people coming in who we need for certain jobs. There was a very careful compromise that was reached between the AFL-CIO, the labor unions, and the Chamber of Commerce representing business. So you have a lot of different constituencies that have put in the bill, right? They haven't gotten everything they wanted. It's a compromise bill, but everybody's got a stake in it. And that's very different than we've seen before. And the issue is, again, it's being anchored by 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats. So it has a bipartisan feel to it, which is, again, very different than most issues in Washington.
You keep talking about the Senate. Of course, that's what we're focused on. But the House of Representatives is a
Yeah.
whole nother ball game. The president really wants to get a large number of senators to agree to this so that it makes it more difficult for the House to kind of tinker and do what some people are suggesting. Do you think that's likely?
I think it's likely that there will be strong Senate support for this legislation. I do think that that's going to make it harder for Republicans to walk away from it completely. I don't think they want to walk away from it completely. I think that they get that it is in their interest as a policy matter, as a political matter, to not be seen as obstructing, but actually trying to solve the problem. And even though they're taking some baby steps, and they are baby, in the House Judiciary Committee, they're having hearings, they're introducing small bills. I mean, they're like dipping their toe in the water. The Senate just like jumped in head first in the deep water and came up for air, and yay, we survived. The House is going to take it more slowly.
I may ask you for a baby step because we're just about out of time, but I want to ask somebody who obviously cares passionately about this issue. Do you see the finish line, and what's that feeling?
I do see the finish line, and it's spectacular. It's spectacular not only for the 11 million who, look, 2/3 of them have been here longer than 10 years. These are folks who they're not going home because they are home. And I also see it in the country's interests, right, that we have control. We have a coherent system. We know who's coming to the country. We help them integrate. Those are all parts that are very much America's character.
Angela Kelly, thanks for stopping by The Heat.
Thanks.